Godzilla 2014 isn't known as the most remarkable Godzilla film, but I would argue that it has gone severely underrated for the longest time. I've always loved this movie ever since I first saw it when I was only 10 years old, and I can tell you, after rewatching it recently, it absolutely holds up. The intensity, the action, the monsters, and even some of the human characters were actually a lot more interesting than people make them out to be. But as amazing as the soundtrack is, what really gives this film so much scale and intensity is something I only noticed upon rewatching it, and something that seems to have gone unnoticed is silence. Godzilla uses silence in such an incredible way, using it to build tension and gravitas in a way that traditional scoring never could. When Godzilla first arrives in Hawaii after the tsunami, when everyone is on the rooftops, the film goes quiet. Flares are launched and people see the skin of an enormous leg walking slowly by. Everyone is silent. Everyone is shocked, allowing the tension to build, giving the audience the same heart-stopping shock those characters must be feeling. The silence is broken as soldiers fire upon the monster in a fruitless attempt to stop him. And later, in the same scene, the Muto starts destroying an airport. The monster swiftly rampages, destroying planes in an enormous explosion. The people scream and run for their lives, but all of that is silenced, and Godzilla steps into frame. These scenes utilize silence to give Godzilla a massive sense of gravity, making him feel truly enormous, bigger than anything else in the film. A king of monsters. The train scene also uses silence, only this time to create enormous tension. The men on the train hear fighting up ahead, seeing some explosions and gunshots. Then silence. They look through the dark tunnel trying to get any information, hearing nothing but screams. Ford and 3 others go to look ahead, finding nothing but darkness and silence. They walk across the bridge, and suddenly, the Muto starts to walk around them. They lay flat on the tracks. The silence is louder than ever as the Muto walks around them, watching. It gets closer and closer, and then it leaves. In the fog, we see gunshots and some screaming. Eventually, a flaming train comes towards them and the tension is paid off with an enormous crash.
In the moments leading up to the Golden Gate Bridge scene, there are soldiers on boats, soldiers on the bridge. An entire citywide evacuation goes dead silent after hearing the slightest noise from an approaching Godzilla. Everyone waits in anxious anticipation of something they don't even know is coming. The moments immediately following the skydiving scene use a brilliant technique to give more scale to the scene. We see parts of monsters moving through buildings, little sound effects and small visuals. Nothing but the eerie silence and smoke. Even the climax of the film similarly utilizes silence. Ford is on the boat, with the nuke trying to get it a safe distance from the city, but the Muto's EMP keeps the boat still. Ford is too injured to run, and when the enormous monster slowly approaches, all he has to defend himself is a pistol. He lays, ready to fight to the end no matter how fruitless. Silence is one of the most powerful tools in a filmmaker's toolbox, and sadly, it is also one of the most underutilized. 2014's Godzilla incredibly uses silence to convey tension, scale, and gravitas in such a way that scoring or sound effects never can. It's just one more tool that filmmakers ought to use more often. Something that could make today's films more profound, more intense, and ultimately beautiful.